Okay, now this is part 2 of the container exercises. We just finished the one on keyword containers. Now we're going to do one that means there's only one correct answer per box or per item that you're giving for the students to carry out this exercise in. So, with no further ado, I'm going to show you the steps for this and see if you can try to apply it yourself, if this is the exercise you want to do for your class. First of all, have it open. Let's start with new flip chart. Just as we did with keywords, we want to save it, give it a name. So we're going to name this one, not Philp, but flip chart underscore object, because these are going to contain just one specific object. Okay, now I'm going to go over to my subjects shared files here, which is under the second icon under your resource browser, the one that kind of looks like a clap that you have for directors of movies. And go to your subjects folder, and I will pick geography. Let's go down here and pick maps. Let's go with maps. And under the Americas, let's pick North America and USA. Under the USA, what do we have here? We've got some maps in here. Some of them have names on them. We don't want the names. You may want the names. The time that you would want to use one that has names on it would be when you want to introduce the subject and explain to the students and teach them where the different states are. In our case, we're going to test them and see what they know. So let's take a blank map. Well, that one doesn't have lines. Let's go with one that has borders. It's a little bit, we want to be reasonable to some degree, I guess. Take note that there's almost no room down here to point to this. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the corner and we're going to make it smaller, as you can do here. We're going to make it a little bit smaller. And what we'll do is now you can do this from the computer or you can do it from here. If you have the application ActivInspire installed on your computer, that's pretty much the most convenient place to do this. If you're doing it in front of a classroom and you're demonstrating like I am, sometimes it's easier to just go ahead and say, well, I want shapes, and today I'm going to use my little shapes that are with the rounded corners that I like so much. So I'm going to pick, again, for demonstration purposes, I'm going to pick 5 states. And I will make 5 boxes that will match those. I'm going to go over to my computer and do this, and you just watch the screen. Okay, first of all, I'm going to pick on appearance. Because I don't like the appearance of this one, I'm going to change it. Change my border to white to match that. And I don't like solid. I want a gradient fill, if that's an option. Gradient is an option. And I will go from a dark blue to a not as dark blue. How's that? Yeah, it doesn't make a difference. The gradient effect didn't take place. Oh, it says none. I guess I should select vertical. There. Now we have the gradient effect in our boxes. Just adds a little bit to it, makes it a little interesting. Notice up here, again, I have this selected on orange where it says design mode. Orange is while you're working on it to put it together. So I'm going to right click this and duplicate it. And again, duplicate it. Because I said I will have 5 states. There's 4 and 5. Now, I'm going to line these up. I'll put one over here. I want to make sure the borders don't, these borders, do make sure they do not hit each other, because they will it will make things confusing for the software program, that is. Put one here, here, and let's say here. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to create the answers. Well, we haven't decided what state yet, so let's pick Washington, California. Or, yeah. Washington, that's kind of, I picked one that's got a wide text. So I'm going to have to make my text a little bit smaller this time because I've already decided on my box size. I don't want to pick white because white on white disappears like that did. So I want to select it, and I'll pick a color that I can still see, but it will show up pretty brightly on the dark one. So let's pick let's say a vibrant yellow. That's not a good decision either. We have to go with something a little bit darker, but yet will not look too dark for that color. So you have to have a good contrast, yet visible for the kids to see. So let's see if this one works. So that one, you drag Washington in there, and you can read it, but we need to make it fit. Once again, bring the size down. In this case, we'll bring it down to about 14. And it fits perfect. Okay, so Washington, let's do it. We can also duplicate this, by the way, which means it's going to be the same size. All we got to do is double click it and change what it's called. For this demonstration, I picked long words unintentionally. That was not within the plans, but it seems to turn out that way. Then let's do one that's, let's say, Florida. Now, notice I didn't duplicate that one. You do it either way you want to. I'm going to duplicate it because the next one is going to be Texas, and Texas is about, text-wise, is about the same size. Texas, actually it's smaller. So I'm going to put them over here, and I'm just going to list them. And what other state do we need to pick? Let's pick, I don't see Alaska, so let's pick Maine. Let's do the extremes. Maine. Now, these are the options for the kids to pick from. And we're going to take each of these boxes and say that only one of these answers can be the correct one in that box. Only one answer can be the correct one in each individual box. Very much different than the keyword one. So here's how this works. First, it would be wise to draw a line. So you can go over to your connector, that's this right here, and say, well, where am I going to draw this line to? I'm going to do double arrows, both directions. So I'm going to connect this one to Washington. Washington's the highest one up. Next, I'm going to draw one to California. Next, I'm going to draw one to Texas. I think that's that big one right there. And then Florida, that's right. Cuba's not on our list, is it? And then we'll go to Maine. So, these are the correct answers. But we have to somehow go into the container part of this program and tell it which ones are correct. So I click on the first box, open this, again collapse everything other than container. What can it contain? A specific object. Well, since that one was Washington, we're going to tell it what the specific object is. We click on this, and what do we see? We see all of these texts. And that one says Washington, if it's not clear on this video. This one says California, Florida, Texas, Maine. Okay, now we say, well, the correct one's going to be Washington, so we highlight it. We go Texas, okay, or text, I'm sorry. It says Washington, hit OK. We've just told it the text one is the correct answer. And return if not contained. No. We don't care about that because the box doesn't return any place. The box doesn't go anyplace. So that stays false, that stays false. Completely contained. That's correct. Okay, next one. Let's go to Maine. And say, okay, well, let's go to our container and say that it contains a specific object. That specific object is text 5, if I recall correctly, and sure enough, it says Maine. Click on this one that says Florida, or it should be Florida. That would be the correct answer. Contains specific object, which would be, that says Texas, that says Florida. There. So Florida. Remember, leave these as false. Go to Texas. Collapse, collapse, collapse. Contains specific object. And the answer is Texas. False, false. And then, last but not least, is California, if we did not do that yet, and I don't think we did. So go to can contain specific object, and it has to be California, which would be number 2, I believe, and it is. Okay, so we've done that part. As usual, save. The frequent saves are going to help you tremendously. Now, we have to go, we do not have to do what we did before in giving these an identification because they're a specific object. So they already have their own identification, such as text 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. However, we do have to tell it to return if it's not true, if it doesn't belong. In other words, it says return if not contained. So we change that to true. Same here. Return if not true, if not contained. True. This one, return if not contained. True. Oh, I'm sorry. Cut. Mistakes. Ah. Ugh. You don't do that. You do that to the words.
Yeah, I can cut that out, no problem.
Okay. So, now the only thing we have to do about the words, we don't have to tell them what their identification is because they already have that. As such as text 1, text 2, text 3, text 4, and text 5. Because that's the specific object. However, highlight all of these. While they're highlighted, we need to go to the container part and tell it return if not contained is true. And then, as usual, Control S to save. Change to blue for presentation mode. I'm going to collapse this menu over here so it doesn't interfere with my screen. And let's try this out. So Texas. Well, think Texas is big, and that one looks big, so maybe that's it. Nope. Well, California's big too, so maybe that's it. And it works. Washington. Well, Washington, isn't that over there on that side? And, well, but maybe it's here, I don't know. Yep, that's where it goes. I was thinking of Washington, D.C. for some reason. Texas, it's over here someplace, I think. Nope, that's not it. That's it. Everything in Texas is big, including the state itself. Florida looks like a gun. That's what I was told. So the only one that looks like a gun is that one, so I'm going to try that. And it works. And then Maine. Note how things popped out when I gave the incorrect answer. So let's pop this back down again. And we want to put them all back on the list so your next kids can try it out. And we just click reset. There. And there they are. The words are all listed. Once again, the boxes are clear. And then the next student can come up and try it out. So that was our specific object container video. I hope that was helpful. If you need any help, do not hesitate to call on me at msturgeon@leeuniversity.edu, located in the Center for Teaching Excellence in the Mayfield Annex, room 100.